Yes. So FMS, basically the first step to get into FMS is to write a very um, articulate your thoughts and write a very straightforward SOP. You need to be very, very thorough about why exactly do you want to do an MBA. So as a very basically statement of purpose states that particular reason, that how will an MBA help you achieve your goals. And let me be very clear on this. 80 to 90% of your interview will be revolving around the SOP itself. Give me a second, please.
Uh, yeah. Adding on to Shane, the main question that was asked during my and I guess all three of our interviews was the SOP. That was the main focal point, and they had uh, they had quite and they had asked not just they had went into more than three levels on the same. So be extremely ready with be extremely ready with why FMS specifically in your answers also and also in the SOP. Your SOP itself should contain these in a very brief format. More details, Ishani, maybe you can elaborate on the same.
Also, Ashwin, I'd like to add one particular point about how do you exactly frame a good SOP so that you have some amount of talking points in the interview itself. So how I looked at the SOP was that I try to visualize why I want to do an MBA and how will FMS facilitate that vision of mine, right? So your SOP, you can divide your SOP into three parts. What is your now? I want all of you to note this down. Uh, First part, where exactly is your current standing? Second part, how FMS will no. Second part will be where exactly you want to be. The third and final part, which is the most critical part, will be how exactly FMS will help you achieve your dreams and goals. So these 3 points should be the crux of your SOP. मतलब अंदर तुमको गैस भरना है भर दो, but you should be very very clear about why FMS and why MBA on this. क्योंकि if I talk about my particular interview, 100% of my interview revolved around my SOP, my extempore, my YMBA, my SOP, and the current happenings in the budget which related to my dreams. So, like, let's say if I say my dream was social impact consulting, the topics can be related to anything. They can be related to ESG, they can be related to green energy or green economy, they can be related to green bonds, anything. So, I told them in my SOP that I want to do social impact consulting. So, I remember my extempore topic was sovereign green bonds, which was related to the budget that Nirmala Sitharaman announced that particular like in 2022. So everything that is mentioned in your SOP, you need to know in and out things related to it. Firstly, and secondly, you should be very very thorough how you'll explain those things.
And one more thing is like whatever you mention, like anything, like any words that you mention, you may be asked to explain what do you exactly mean by that. So like anything as in such, suppose you talk about like experienced faculties or experienced alums or anything, you must be knowing a bit about them as well. So anything you are talking about, you should have some idea why you are talking about that and how is it helpful to the answers. And especially because the SOP of FMS is like last time it was 100 words, this time it's 1000 characters. So it's pretty short. So you should be very clear. It should be very crisp and it should make sense to the interviewer why you are there in sitting in front of them. So I think we have some questions. We have some hands raised. So anyone can
One
go
second.
for. Yeah,
One
yeah.
second, Arvind. Just before, just one more thing to add here. The FMS faculty, we most probably taking the interviews, and they are quite learned. So especially what as Shane said, that when you are stating your crux purpose, that your purpose will be the crux of that SOP. So when you're stating that, ensure that you know every word in that sentence, one to two sentences, because it's going to be a very crisp format. And as Ankan said, they might ask you on anything. So be very prepared on that two, three lines. As I wanted to go product management down the line, but I had like a rough idea or maybe where I want to go. So I had put it as I am looking to transition to a bigger role, and we need to learn all these learn a lot of various business processes. I said something like on these lines. So each of the words on how I framed this in the sentence was scrutinized and was asked to me with around two to three questions based on the same.
All right. And the second thing that we wanted to discuss over here is that how an FMS interview looks like, right? So FMS, unlike any conventional B school, has a very short MBA interview. So your interview might not even last for 15 minutes, which is usually the case. My interview lasted for 7 minutes. So your first 2 3 minutes of the interview are extremely crucial because that will decide whether you get into FMS or not. And those first 2 3 minutes will be either the panelists asking you why MBA, or tell me about yourself, or tell me your SOP. So these three things should be on the top of your lips whenever you go in an FMS interview. Second thing, the flow of the FMS interview is like they ask you, tell me about yourself or why MBA. The second thing they do is they give you 30 seconds to think about a topic, and then the extempore comes. And the third and the final part is your actual interview, which revolves around either your extempore, which will be related to your SOP, or SOP itself. So this is the general trend of an FMS interview. I think Ankan has something to add.
It's not like that the extempore will be strictly related to the SOP. So there may be some other topics as well that can come up, like anything related to your background, anything related to your profile, or whatever has come up. So it can be like anything. And after that, the interviews generally, like as you said, it is very short, so it revolves around some of those answers that you have already given and doesn't go like to the extremes.
I think Ashwin, if you have something to add, you can do that. Otherwise, we can go ahead with the questions.
Yeah, I think we can. I think that was neatly summarized. So we can go ahead with the questions. Yeah. Kavya, you may please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah. So I think you talked about the SOP when you said that talking about your future career plans. You just mentioned that I'm interested in social impact consulting. So I just wanted to understand that when we are mentioning about our future career plans in our SOP, is it a good idea to like talk about a specific industry? Like, should I say that I look forward to working in consulting? Or should I be a little more vague about it that, I look forward towards problem
I
solving and
think
things like that?
I think being straightforward is very courageous, and that might help you. That might help your case, but you need to make sure that you are in and out thorough with that particular industry or that particular domain of job, because this can be a can of worms, or this might actually work very well in your favor. So if you're very comfortable answering
Hmm.
questions around the domain or the work that you're doing, I
Okay.
think you can go ahead and mention what you want to do, because I mentioned a very niche industry in my SOP, and I think that
Yeah.
worked in my favor.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Makes sense.
Yeah, adding on to, I had a slightly counterintuitive, a slightly contrary view of this. I did not mention anything too specific because, as I said earlier, I was not too sure to get into product management, but that was my major dream. That being said, so I just played around with the words a little and thought that it would be best not to go for too extreme a case, as I might not know much about it. So if you're someone who does not have that much idea but still wish to learn from the MBA experience, you can definitely mention that, and you can say on how and how you would like to see yourself in a bigger a challenging role maybe in this domain. And like if I was working in IT, so I was saying in the same. So that is how I had said. Ultimately, it is about how you convince the viewers, because interviews can go anywhere depending on the mood of them. So if they wish to grill you more, if they feel that going specific is good, and you have more clarity on what you want to do eventually, they'll be satisfied. However, if you still say that you are okay with learning throughout the process, they'll also be fine with that. Yeah. Rajat?
Okay.
Also, one of the major things that they check in the interview is that if you can actually survive the 2 years of MBA. So if you actually show them that, they'll be able to gauge your candidature a little better.
Uh, yeah.
Can you
Kavya, I
repeat?
hope
Okay.
your query
Yeah.
has been addressed.
Yeah. That definitely answers my question. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Rajat, you may please go next. 1 second.
Yeah.
Siddhant, if you have a question, please just go in the queue, or is it related to the earlier question?
Yeah, like I just wanted to ask him to repeat what he said. I couldn't get it. Shanay.
The session will be recorded, so you can check the recording. In the interest of time, let us look at everyone's queries addressed first, and then Shanae will definitely repeat maybe, or we you have the recording also.
Can you repeat? I don't think I heard that properly.
Uh,
Nothing. It's fine. I'll check the recording. Thank you.
Okay.
yeah, Rajat, you may
Yeah.
please go next.
Yeah, sure. So my question is related to the composite score. So actually, according to the criteria, 70% of our final composite score has already been decided, right? Um, it's only the last 30% we are fighting for in the interview, which is 10% is SOP, 5% is extempore, and 15% is PI, right? And I have back calculated how much marks will I be needing in this 30% as per the available data for of the last to last year. So basically 66 marks is needed for general category, and in the 70% of our marks which is decided, I am actually getting 44 marks. So
Bro,
basically
last year cannot compare last year's data with this year data because
yeah,
the
that definitely.
proportionately the scores have decreased. Last year 99 percentile was at around 100 marks. This year it's around 80 marks. So the composite score are bound to go low. But I cannot tell you if the composite score 66 will be something which can guarantee you an FMS convert, or maybe 40 can guarantee you an FMS convert. I'm not sure about that. That is not something you should be worrying right now.
Yeah, so my just the
Uh,
question is how
yeah.
much what is the average marks that did you give in the interview out of these 30
That
marks?
again is not something you should be worrying about. Your job right now is to prepare. It's not about thinking how much average interview goes like. Because I know a friend, he scored a 99.47, and he needed an extraordinary interview to actually convert, and he converted in the first list. So at FMS, if the panelists really like you, they'll convert your candidature irrespective of your percentile. That is what a lot of times happens in all the B schools. It's not just specific to FMS. So your job right now is to not worry about something which has already happened, like your 10th, 12th or grad or your CAT percentile. Your job right now is to focus on how to maximize the capability of yourself in the actual interviews and minimize the chances of errors.
Yeah,
Well,
that makes sense.
one more thing, Rajat, just to see, I've also been in the same position last year. So I had 96%. I had a fairly decent composite score, but still my overall ranking in the that first list that is shared was around 400s. I gave an interview eventually, after which I was eventually I where my that the ranking had jumped up way notches above. So I came in the around the top 100 of candidates who were going to get selected in the waiting list also. So, and eventually I cracked FMS. So your interview plays a big role. And as Shani said, do not focus on your 10, 12 grand. You are here because you perform well in CAT and your throw. So just make the best of your interview and use that opportunity to just showcase the best candidature possible. That is all that you should be actually be focusing on. Hope
I
it
think
makes
if
sense.
that answers the question, we can go ahead with the next question.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Deepika, you may please go next. Rajat, you
Yeah,
can please
hi.
mute yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. My doubt is that we have been given only 1,000 characters to put our words in SOP. So the doubt is that it's a very it has to be very precise and crisp, as you said. But when we go and try to put everything in that manner, it becomes very short, and it it doesn't really convey what we exactly want to say, as far as I have realized from what I have prepared. So it's like, if suppose, and also if suppose there is like, you have done something in your college tenure, like you have been the marketing head or something, then you have been doing, you have been working in some industry, so you mention about it, and then you go towards why FMS, right? So when you mention something like you have done something in your marketing domain in your council, and then you come to the logistic industry, and now they are like, you want to do MBA in marketing. So how do you actually justify that? Like, you have mentioned it in SOP. So based on your SOP, they'll either go for marketing or operations, any of them. So how do you just justify that? Okay, like, from where the question might arise, like they can go to, like as you said, that extempore came based on what you had mentioned, right? So the marketing we do in council, or the like, any clubs and everything, is totally different from the real life marketing, but that is the trigger point. So how do we justify that?
Uh, one thing to be noted, Deepika, is that interviews themselves are very random. So it is, since if you have worked in both of these industries, it is best to be ready with preparation with both. That with that, uh, the extempore itself is not subject to the SOP. मतलब हमेशा ऐसा नहीं, it is not that it is compulsory. It will be based like that. So my extempore was a very abstract topic. So that is there. It is best to be prepared with both. And while you're stating, you can, like if you transition from a marketing to a logistics role, I guess that was the thing, right?
Yes, yes,
Uh,
right.
yeah. So you have to be, that is something that you can answer best. So I would just say that for the time being, you can definitely get your you can get your SOPs reviewed by your mentors, and you have to look at this SOP as an, it has to be, as Shane said, three things. The first should be where you are currently, where do you want to go currently, and since justification of that, if you feel that it might be tougher a bit, then you might have to go to depths of the answer itself. So I would say revise and re-revise your answer until you have coherent answers to next two, three set levels of questions. Because I yeah, I can't just give an answer based on that info. Maybe Ankan or Shane might, so they can add on the same. Yeah.
So adding to this point, like you said something like you have to justify about everything in your SOP. You don't have to do that. You have to
Okay.
tell, like, suppose you were interested in marketing or you worked in this, is fine. Now, if you are clear on what you want to do, it's fine. Even if you're not clear, you can write that you have done some things, this and that, and now you want to explore, and then you want to do this and that, right? So it's
Okay.
not about justifying things you have done, but it's about things that you have done, and now you want to what you want to do. So SOP doesn't need to capture all the just reasons and everything. It's just like an idea of what you are. So that's the main thing.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Ankan, that was very well put. Deepika, I hope that if that answered your question, we
Yes,
can
yes,
go.
that's clear. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah. Suparno, you can go next.
Yes. So hi everyone. So my question revolves around the work-ex and the extracurricular questions. So are there any pointers for framing those answers? And in form filling, what should be the end date for work-ex? Should it be the current date, like 20th January for the last date of form filling, or should it be something like 31st July, which is the norm for the other B schools like IIMs?
Last time, I think it was considered till 31st January. But just once check, this time there must be some guidelines on what is the last date. So you can maybe drop a mail to media cell of FMS as well. So
Right.
they would clarify that, like what is the last date to be considered.
Right. And regarding the questions like around work-ex and ECA.
Yes, so what around that? Repeat your question once more.
Yeah, so when we are like framing our answers for the work-ex bit, what should we like, apart from our day-to-day roles, we'll obviously also highlight our achievements. And for extracurricular roles, does also FMS also look at it like minimum it should be something at a national level? We cannot
No,
include
no,
college
nothing
level
like
events.
that. You can put whatever you have. If means these aren't like very important, These are like talking points. Interviewers get a sense of what have you done and all. So it helps sort of in the interview. You can talk about those things.
Right.
Also, honestly, I think major parts you should be focusing on will be your YMBA and your SOP. So extracurriculars and all these points, as Ankan mentioned, give you some amount of talking points with the interviewer, and that might resonate with the interests of the interviewer or the panelists, and they might like you a little bit more. But these are nothing more than that.
Got it.
Also, your interview will, as Shani said earlier, also your interview will definitely start with TMAY or YMBA, YSOP. They'll ask you to explain the SOP. So that will be the major focus of the interview. After which, if they like your explanation for your SOP also, they will ask you inquire more about your work ex and maybe your grad subjects, and then they might proceed to extracurriculars. But all these things are supplementary and might be talking points. But their major focus that they will look, especially if you're a fresher, is going to be a SOP. Otherwise, it might. Otherwise, the core focus is fully on SOP and how well you present yourself. So you have to at some level be ready with your work ex and these things, but they are all just talking.
Like I
Yeah.
had work ex of around 1 year, and I had no questions asked on my work ex or anything. All the questions in my interview revolved around my SOP and my long-term goals. That's it.
Got it.
uh,
Thanks a
I
lot.
had around 2 years of work ex, and they asked me 1 to 2 questions. But however, with respect to my SOP, they asked 2 questions on that 100-word para at my time specifically. So yeah, so priorities definitely should be kept on SOP.
Got it.
Shreya, yeah, Shreya, you can
Yeah,
go
hello
next.
everyone. Yeah.
Uh,
So, a friend of mine appeared for the FMS interview last year, and her extempore topic was Kalidas, which is kind of a very abstract topic, and it had nothing to do with her profile. So, how can we deal with these abstract topics when we get them on the spot?
So I will take this up. I also got a very random topic. They asked me about B.R. Ambedkar just out of nowhere.
Mm.
So it happens. So in such moments, like when you don't have much knowledge about it, or you don't know much about what to talk, it's all about how you present it. It's all about it's a like like this extempore happens around 1 to 2 minutes. If you can actually speak for that time, if you can actually bring out some logical pointers or anything that like to engage them, it may to bring some interest out of the to the towards the interviews. So in that way you have to, it's more about presenting than the knowledge at that point of time.
Okay, so can we start from a point like, for example, if I take this topic only and say that Kalidas was a very renowned, a very learned man, and then can I move to a totally different tangent and talk about that, start talking about that, so that I can talk about 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, you can be as much creative as you can. Like suppose if you are going to Kalidas and maybe mention something about poems or something about literature, you can totally go and speak about anything and everything out there.
Okay,
It's
got it.
So
very
extempore,
versatile.
they basically check your structure. Right? So extempore is not something they're just doing out of random, or this is just they just want to check how well you speak or something. It's about structuring. Extempore is all about structuring your thoughts. Even if you get a very abstract topic, like I got it once in the interviews, I got a topic like uh, blue is the new pink or pink is the new blue, something around that those lines. So I basically revolved those topics around how women are being empowered and everything. So extempore is all about how you structure your thoughts. It's not about how well your language is or how well you speak. Just whatever topic you get, make sure you take at least 30-35 seconds before you speak and structure your thoughts in a very articulate manner.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. There is another question that I had. So I have more than 2 years of work ex. So can I expect any questions from my graduation subjects?
You can expect everything, but yeah, like if you have enough work ex, the possibility of them asking you questions on your graduation like potentially decreases, but that does not eliminate the possibility of all of it. Like you should have some amount of basic knowledge of what you did in your graduation, what subjects were there, and all these things. So maybe you could prepare your core subjects well and all the other supplementary subjects a little in a hazy manner, but I would say prepare them. This might not help you, not just help you in FMS interview, but all other B school interviews.
Yeah,
Also,
okay.
generally, we see the trends like in FMS, not many questions are asked on your grad subjects. Because they have generally shorter interviews, 10-15 minutes, and it's more about your personal life and all of those things. So grad subjects are generally not asked much. But again, like you never know what happens in an interview. It can be very random. So you may expect everything.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so
And
much.
one more thing, if your work-ex is related to your graduation, then you should definitely prepare it at least up to some level.
Okay.
Hmm? Okay. Amit, you may please go next.
Hi everyone. So I was just wondering about since the SOP is so small, so can I mention the word like I'm also want to go into product management and my generally long SOP which I prepared for other IIMs contains those words and especially product management. I have not put
You
management,
can.
but I have considered.
You can, but you need to justify that well. You cannot just throw in words to make it look attractive. MBA is about how well you justify yourself, how well you articulate your thoughts, how well you present yourself. So if you're able to justify why product management and how it will help you achieve your goals and everything, you can do that.
Yeah,
One more thing.
actually,
One more thing.
yeah.
Sorry, Amit, just to sorry to interrupt. One more thing. Even with the extempore or with the SOP itself, they are looking at a structure of thoughts. So throwing in random fancy words will not help. Will not help. What you can do is they need to just see the what works for them is that they need to see the structure between where you are currently, where you want to be, and how will an MBA help that. And if the end goal is maybe a little hazy, and how an MBA will help you find clarity. So that is how it should be. But in your answers, you might go. You can definitely uh, uh, explain the SOP in detail. Um, just ensure that you're not throwing just too many buzzwords in there, and the structure of your answers make a lot of logical sense as well as technical sense. Yeah. You
Also,
may please.
anything you mention, you must be very clear of that. Just don't throw random jargons. You should be very clear about like you actually want to do it and you can actually defend that in the interview.
Yeah, so actually, I only have 6 months work ex, but currently I am working on 5G in Giona. So we are doing it from scratch to development, a full process. So I thought I can use that process as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
you
can
can.
justify, I think.
You can use that because Ankan has 0 months of work.
Okay. Helpful.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, Nirvam, you can go ahead with the question.
Yeah, hi everyone. Ashwin mentioned, the interview generally revolves around SOP and YMBA. So does this mean that YMBA and SOP are different things?
Uh, no, see, the SOP it is not so different. It has an overlapping structure definitely, but your SOP is going to be parts of YMB is going to be a short part of YMBA, then YFMS, and also something YMBA, YFMS specifically. So they might just ask you. See, my interview started with TM. Tell me about yourself, and then it went to YMBA. Then they asked me on more detail on my SOP, and after which the interview proceeded further with extempore and others. So you have to be. It is not too different, but your SOP has to include elements of both YMBA and YFMS. Hope it makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah, okay, got it. Thank you.
Uh, Kavya, you may go next.
Yeah, so in the question relating to our work experience, what all components should it have, and like how can we cover stuff in that question? If you can just give like a few flat points of sorts.
Okay, for that, I think what you can mention is how does your work supplement and complement your YMBA and your MBA journeys? Like, how does your WorkX help you achieve the targets that you have set for yourself 5 years or 10 years down the line? So, anything that you've learned which is extremely major in your growth, both personally and professionally, you can mention those things. Like I mentioned, my communication skills that I developed during my WorkX. I mentioned the skill of time management that I learned during my WorkX. So, all these things are extremely important when you get into a corporate after an MBA. So you can mention these kinds of things. These act on a softer aspect. If you want to talk about other types of skills, like let's say you want to get into product management, you can mention the technical skills that you learned, or if you want to get into consulting, you can mention that the skill of articulation of thoughts or structuring of thoughts. So mention things which complement your long-term goals.
Uh, I also gave I also gave something on the same lines where it was with I focused a little more on technical skills and said that if the and not only with technical skills, I've got an overall sense of how the projects have to be maintained in the long run maybe and in the short run. What all issues might specifically arise, and as a manager, how one is expected to train and deal with them. So yeah, so you can look into all these aspects, both on the soft and hard aspects of your job. Just ensure, and as both Uncle and Shani said, that just ensure that it is focusing on your long term. It is in line with your long term goals. Yeah. Uh,
Okay,
Arn
thank you.
yeah, Arnab, you may please go next.
Yeah, hi everyone. So my question is like regarding the starting of SOP. Like I'm like bit more clear on what I need to include in the SOP. So I'm facing an issue like how to start the SOP. Meaning like for my personally, I'll tell you like my career trajectory is towards entrepreneurship. So should I directly start off with this thing that I wish to go and this thing, or should I like start off with the experiences that are shaping me my career towards that particular thing? So what's your call? Like, how should it be started, or like the start? I need to get it from you. What should be the start on it? Like, it should be the experiences, or it should be directly the thing which I want to do.
So both structure works basically.
Yeah.
You can like start with both, like you can start with your past as well, or maybe you can start with your future that you want to do this and then back it up with the past experiences that you have.
Experiences.
So
Okay.
both structures are fine, just that there should be continuity in it, and there should be a it should go in a proper structure, like there should be proper justification for whatever you are writing in that order.
Also,
Okay.
before submitting SOP, get it, re-verified or vet it by at least 5 to 6 people, because all of them will give you some amount of inputs on the flow and the continuity as Ankan mentioned. So get it vet by at least 5 to 6 people.
Definitely, Shane. Probably by tonight I'll be sending you for the first verification as you're my mentor. So probably by tonight I'll send you the first draft which I've prepared.
I'll be a little occupied in the next 2 days because there are some commitments that I need to do at FMS. So I'll get back to you with the review by Tuesday.
Yeah, definitely. That is fine. So the point is like I should first state what I want to do and then back it up with the experiences. And that is what it is, right? Yeah, fine. It is from my end. Yeah.
Bipin, you can go ahead with the question.
Yes, sir.
One
My
second.
question was
Arnab,
related to.
no, no. Arnab, you may
Yeah,
just
sure.
mute
Yeah.
yourself. Sorry. Bipin, you can go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So, while answering the why FMS question, there were multiple ideas like telling about the faculty, telling about the clubs and sales and all those things, which you can find on website. But
Bro, if you want to
on
talk
the
about the
website,
faculty, tell in the interview that you love Singla, sir.
okay, that only because
Bipin, you
I
may
want
please repeat
some
your
inputs
question.
from you students.
Sorry, Bipin, you may please
Can I
repeat
get
your
some
question.
inputs? Can I get some inputs about why FMS from the students of FMS?
I
What
think
can
you should do
be
that
the hook?
research. initially you should do that research on your own. If you need some help, you can reach out to me, Ankan or Ashwin. We'll be able to help you after you have drafted your first thing about why FMS. Because if I give you straight away points, you might not give out a very original and a very straightforward answer. So draft your own answers and verify it. So that is what I suggest.
Okay, okay.
Also,
Sure.
also interviewers will know that whether where you have taken this information from, and uh, if it is not something original. Usually interviewers really respect something original points. So be honest with yourself and come up. We can give 1-2 points, but for make the research by yourself. I
Okay.
guess we all did it by ourselves, and it really helped us. So even
Yeah.
not just pre-MBA, but even during our MBA, we still have I would say, a great sense of respect for the institution, and that is something that you come to with initial research and then build on those aspects. So,
Okay,
look,
okay.
one thing that I read was the FMS Dean's letter and uh, uh, the brochure. So yeah.
Yeah. I will do my research and I will prepare my draft and then get it reviewed. Yeah.
Okay.
I think if there are no
Sure.
more questions, we can end the session in that sense. If we have any more questions, we can have another session in the next couple of days. So by that, we would require you to draft your SOPs completely. I'm not sure if all of you have drafted it, but first draft of your SOP should be verified by your mentor. And all of my mentees who are here in the call, I'll get back to you with the review in the next couple of days because I'm actually occupied with the placements at FMS.
Uh, yeah. So if anyone has any more queries, you may please raise them. Otherwise, we can end the session. Uh, Okay, guys. I guess all your queries I hope all your queries have been addressed. Please feel free to we can all leave. Please feel free to drop out of this. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.